So you're wondering what will happen if you quit SR and go back to ejaculating again. Maybe you are on a long streak of SR. SR means semen retention. Maybe you're on a long streak and you have forgotten what it feels like to not be on SR. And now you're wondering what will it feel like. Well then, let me tell you how even worse it gets when you go back to fapping, you go back to ejaculating after being on a long streak of SR. You touch the power that you didn't even know existed. Now going back to fapping with this knowing that what level of power you can access, going back to fapping with this knowing will put you in a very dark and negative headspace. You just touched your potential, or maybe just a fraction of it, but it felt so much better than being your degenerate self, your old self. And after knowing your potential, after touching your potential, after getting access to your potential, how much potential you have, how much power you have, after getting access to that, and now you go back to fapping, you feel even worse because it's like you just touched the sun, and before you couldn't even believe that you could even jump higher or you could even fly higher enough to touch the sun. You used to just jump on the earth, and now you jumped so higher, you flew so higher, you touched the sun, and now you relapsed and you started fapping again, and now you can't jump higher. You are stuck on earth with the vices that you have, and that hurts because prior to this you didn't even believe that this was possible, and now you touch the sun and now you can't touch the sun anymore. You just keep jumping and it's not happening. That's even more painful than never touching the sun. I can go even far as saying that if you practice semen retention for 45 to 60 days, or more than that, of course, at least 45 to 60 days, then it's impossible to go back to fapping after relapsing. Maybe you just relapsed after this long streak. You might relapse once, twice, maximum thrice, and you that's where it will that's where you will make the choice, because you will realize what you have lost. You will Either you will escape so hard that you ditch this practice and go back to your old life and continue fapping again and ditch this whole practice, or you will realize that what you have lost, and you're like, I'm never relapsing again, and you get back on track. Either of these two will happen. Relapsing once doesn't affect you much, and that's where people get a little tempted to relapse even more. They relapse twice, and then they take a small hit, and third time is just you take a big hit after your third relapse, and your energy level crashes down. You feel like you're back on the square one. You'll be like, I don't want this. I want I want my bowls full. I want my energy fully charged. I want to be fully charged towards life like a fucking bull. That's what I want. That's what you will feel like when you relapse, because you want that back. You want that high energy, high drive back. And now you're feeling very groggy and low, and no amount of sleep fixes that. It just takes time. So you just long for the life that you had when you used to practice SR. That's what you feel like when you start relapsing again. And like I said, one relapse doesn't affect you much. You relapse once, you feel normal. You relapse twice, you feel like you took a small hit, you shook a little bit, but then you're tempted to relapse again, to fall flat on the ground. The third relapse is the reset, I'll say. Not entirely, but it has some truth to it. Third relapse is just you fall flat on your face, like you end up facing this guilt because You have realized what you have lost now. You have been practicing for 30 days, 60 days, and you feel like you lost all the progress, but it will come back. Just in a week, you will start feeling like normal again. But it will feel so gut wrenching to lose the benefits for a while. When you were retaining and you went for a longer streak, you adapted to the benefits like anything in life. Let's say you gain 10 kgs of muscle and you adapt to that, and that starts to feel normal and you want more. That's what happens on SR as well. The same principle applies here. You you feel like there's nothing much happening. I feel very normal. I feel very flat in a way. But only after relapsing, you realize that what you have lost, the thing that you were calling normal, wasn't normal. It was higher than your old self, but you just adapted to it. So that's why it felt normal, and that's the law of life. Everything, you adapt to everything, every power, every just everything. You adapt to everything. That's the law of life. After some time, the benefits will become the new normal. Just like before your normal was feeling groggy all the time, feeling brain fog all the time. Now your new normal is feeling having high energy all the time, having high drive all the time. That's your new normal now. So avoid this mistake that disregarding this normalness, because it's still higher than your old self. It's just you've adapted to it. Just make sure that you don't make this mistake that you start to feel normal when you're on this retention, when you're on semen retention. You start to feel normal and you're like, I should just relapse, I feel normal anyway. Don't make this mistake. If you still don't understand what I'm saying, I'll say that go for a streak longer than 30 to 45 days and then relapse once, twice, and thrice, and then figure it out for yourself what happens. Fuck around, and- Fuck around and find out. That's the best approach if you don't understand what I said. If you're on a longer streak and just because you've adapted, that doesn't mean it's not helping you. You've just adapted to it. It's constantly helping you, it's constantly providing you energy. So, just because you've adapted, don't downplay on it. Don't disregard this practice. Either learn it from me that this is what happens when you start relapsing again, or go fuck around and find out. Choice is yours. That's all I will say today. Have an awesome day.